All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what, of course, is happening at this moment with respect to this war, we're being joined by Mr. Daniel Levy, who is the president of the US Middle East Project, and has also been the former senior advisor to the Israeli Prime Minister's office, and is joining us live from London. Mr. Levy, thank you very much indeed, sir, for taking time out and speaking to us here in WION. And let me ask you this question. The fact that there are cracks within the Netanyahu government had been evident for quite some time now, but the differences are quite clearly open, where the defense minister, who's of course leading this military effort in the Gaza Strip, seems to be publicly disagreeing with his prime minister. What are we to make of this?
You are absolutely correct to point out that this is not a new development, but going so public is a new and significant development. And I think the way this is being interpreted inside Israel is that, yes, the defense minister, Gallant, the gentleman in question, is, of course, a political operative, a member of Netanyahu's party. But most people understand him to be speaking what the security establishment, what the military leadership are thinking. And this is happening at a moment, number one, where Israel has begun this long-awaited, potentially devastating for even more Palestinian civilians. You spoke there about the situation, the devastation inside Gaza. This is happening as Israel is beginning that long-awaited offensive in Rafah. Many in the military consider, first of all, that this is not going to go easily. The whole military operation has not gone that well for Israel. And one of the main reasons that is the case is that the prime minister set a bar for this operation, which is unreachable, in other words, the total elimination of Hamas, and that if you don't have politics alongside a military effort, then you go in with at least one and perhaps more hands tied behind your back, because we all know the old adage that a military operation is the continuation of politics by other means. If you have no politics, then you're offering nothing by way of a way out. It also happens, and you reference this, against the backdrop of the increasing frustration of the Biden administration that has taken a more palpable turn with the withholding of certain weapons. What this tells us, I think, is that if both maintain their positions and intensify their positions, by both I mean the disquiet in the Israeli military and the US administration, then Netanyahu has a problem. However, if Biden backs down, then I think internally Netanyahu will be able to reassert himself. And he is basically saying, look, you're the defense minister, you're the military, you're to blame for what happened. I'm just the prime minister. I had to rely on my professionals. And this is a very big fight inside Israel now.
You know, it's a very big fight inside Israel, as you point out, but also what is being talked about a lot within Israel is the failure to bring back the hostages who've been in the Gaza Strip in the custody of Hamas for over 8 months now. Is this being looked at as a failure of the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, where he's not done enough to negotiate with Hamas to secure the release of the hostages?
Look, it's a very polarized place, as I'm sure you're aware. I'm talking about Israel. The Prime Minister has a not insignificant Amen corner. He has a not insignificant media echo chamber, and he has a society that is very mobilized, often in very problematic and inhuman and dangerous ways, I think we have to acknowledge, against the Palestinians. Now, of course, he has an opposition, and one of the main failures laid at his door is precisely that. 8 months we're approaching now. There was an initial deal after a few weeks where over 100 of the hostages got out. Since then, things have been stuck. And why have they been stuck? They have been stuck, we have to be honest here, not because Hamas has an impossibly unreasonable negotiating position. It's a hard position, but it is a position which means that the war would come to an end. And it's been stuck because Netanyahu, for reasons that are increasingly transparent as personal political reasons that he wants this war to continue, he is saying no to a deal which brings the war to an end. And more inside his own military are saying, Mr. Prime Minister, we're not going to totally defeat Hamas just by military means. In fact, it's probably not possible at all. Mr. Prime Minister, you're giving no political way out. We're not going to get the hostages. And militarily, we are getting bogged down. And your plan will mean we get even more bogged down. And if your plan is that we stay in Gaza indefinitely, and this was the direct issue of confrontation with the defense minister, if that's the plan, then we need to know, because our troops are increasingly exhausted, our munitions are very dependent on America. America is increasingly unhappy with what you're doing. Mr. Prime Minister, you are setting us on a road to even greater failure. And already many of the commentators are saying this is not the total victory the Prime Minister promised, but this is looking much more like a resounding defeat.
All right, we'll have to leave there. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Daniel Levy, for joining us and getting us that perspective from London then.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.